Alright, so for today's video, we are going to be taking a look at the CPS BlackMax tubing expander tool, or the swedging tool, some of us like to call it. Now, the model number for this guy is BTLE9. So you do get this nice blow-molded case with it, which is, it's a fairly nice blow-molded case, and it does have some nice latches on it. And then you are able to open up that kit fairly easily. Now you can see you have a little chart here that has all of the different heads that come with the kit, and it gives you the model number for the head as well. If you, for some whatever reason, end up losing one, breaking one, it does give you a model number so you can order a replacement head. Now, this is meant for soft copper and aluminum. Don't go trying to use this kit on hard copper. Unless you plan to anneal that copper first. Otherwise, it's not going to work. You're either going to crack the copper or you're going to do some damage to the tool. So this is the swedging kit. It comes with pretty much all the dies you can imagine. Now, there is one die here that is missing. That is how the kit comes. So it does go up to 1 1/8 inch. So if you are running refrigeration lines that are a lot larger than 1 1/8 inch, you are going to have to... one, buy the size you need, and two, you have a nice place to put it here in your kit. Now, this kit is it does go from 1/4 inch to 1 1/8 inch, and all the dies are color coordinated, which is nice. So you can see here 1/4 inch, not something I would use very often. But you do have it right here, so that is nice. And then you go, like I said, this kit goes all the way up to 1 1/8 inch. So here's your 1 1/8 inch head. Now, all these do have grease there on the inside. You do want to make sure you keep the swedging tool, the point on there, nice and greased, just in case, just so that it doesn't get stuck in the tool or what have you. And then you do have your tool right here, which is nice. When you pull your handle back, that little point part right there pulls itself out, and then obviously when you close the tool, it pushes it out, which will expand the little die here on the tool, which will in turn expand your copper pipe. So here's the tool right there. It's a fairly nice tool. It is metal, which is nice. You have some nice rubber grip handles, which I do like, and like I said, this tool comes pretty much pre-greased for you, so over time you are going to want to check that, and just to make sure you have a good amount of grease still on there, so that tool continues to work fairly nice. So that guy goes into there, and all your dies are nice. They have this little rubber molding on them, so it's not just all that, for the 1/4 and 5/16, there's no rubber molding. It's all just that knurled metal around them. But once you get to 3/8 and larger, they do have the nice that nice plastic grip, so it's not that knurling on there. So that is a nice added touch for this kit. Now I'm going to show you how this tool works here in a minute, and I believe the copper that I have for it to test the tool out with is a piece of 5/8. So you can see it does fit over there quite easily, so that might be a little on the that might be the right jaw. And to prove that, this is the 3/4 jaw, and it doesn't fit, so it is definitely 5/8 copper. It's just some leftover scrap copper that I've had sitting around from a job that I have pre-cleaned. So that is the correct die right there. So we're going to go ahead and pause the video, and I'll get this case out of here and get the die and everything. I'll show you how to hook up the die here in a second. Alright, so we are back here. So we have our 5/8 die right here, and we have the swedging tool itself. And we do have a couple pieces of copper that I have pre-deburred one side of them, and I'll show you what the purpose of this tool is. Now, if you're unfamiliar with what a swedging tool is, basically it expands the copper out so you can connect, two pieces of copper without having to put a coupling in on them. So instead of having 2 braze joints or 2 solder joints, you wouldn't really use this for soldering unless you're doing some old R22 work. But I digress. Instead of having 2 braze joints, you are going to theoretically go from 2 to 1. One braze joint, and you're not going to need any couplers. So this is a fairly simple tool to put together. Now, to put it together, you want to make sure that back handle is all the way out, and then you just kind of slide the die on the tool, and then it just threads in on the tool like that, and then it'll eventually stop wanting to turn, and that's how you know it is all the way on the tool. Now, this tool is fairly easy to use. It is going to be a little bit hard here for me to demonstrate this just on my setup here, but I should be able to show you how this tool works. So we're going to go ahead and get our piece of copper and put it on the tool. And I'll put a little tension on the tool, flip it around so it's a little bit easier for me to grab, and then I'll show you how to do it. So all you have to do is just squeeze. It does take a little bit of muscle to use. All you have to do is squeeze the tool, and you can see that there is a little bit difference in the copper. Now some guys, what they like to do is once they've made the initial swedge, they like to go and press down on it a little bit better, just to be able to expand it a little more. So that is what happens when you swedge out the pipe. So you're basically making a coupler in the copper without actually having to put a coupler on the piece of pipe. And then that allows you to connect two line sets together, like so. And now instead of having a coupler and having to braze one joint and another joint, all you have is one joint right there that heat up with your torch, and you can hit it with some braze rod. And now you only have to worry about one place leaking instead of another place leaking. So that's basically the premise of a swedging tool. That's basically how this tool works. It's fairly simple. So yeah, definitely a nice tool, and it does make a nice swedge, as you can see. Now it does take a little bit of muscle to use, but definitely a lot easier than using those little swedging punches where you put it in there and you just smack it with the hammer until it makes it to the right size. It's a lot easier to just use your hands to expand that piece of copper out. So that's pretty much it for the functionality on this tool. It's nothing too crazy. So I'll go ahead and put this guy back in its case, and we'll give you my final thoughts on the tool. All right, so overall, this is definitely a nice swedging tool, expanding tool, whatever you'd like to call it, from CPS. Now, the price tag on this tool is definitely a little bit pricey. So if you're just starting out in the trade and you may not have, a bunch of money to drop on a swedging tool, you might want to go with a punch set. Or, you just got to save up your money. This kit roughly cost about $400. And that comes with everything you see here, plus the blow molded case. So there is, it is definitely an expensive tool to use and have. But it definitely is going to make your life a lot easier if you're having to, maybe you have two 25-foot line sets to make a 50-foot line set. Or you have two 25-foot line sets and you need to make, a 30-foot line set, 35-foot line set, so you got to cut that down. And you don't want to have, you only want to have two braze joints to hit up in the center instead of four, because you're going to need one for your suction and your liquid. So instead of having four joints to hit, now you only have two joints to hit, plus the two on the condenser and the two that are going to be on the unit inside. So overall, this is definitely a nice kit to have. They also make one that is a hydraulic one. There's definitely a few brands out there that have a hydraulic one as well, not just CPS. But one thing about that kit or those models is they're about $300-400 more than just this kit you see here. And that's because it's hydraulic, so instead of having to smash it with your hands, all you have to do is just hold it like you're pulling the trigger on your drill or whatever, and you're using your hand to expand the metal. So it's a little bit different of a tool, but the tool does cost quite a bit more than your standard, than this tool or your standard, little punch set. Those little punch sets, they're great for when you're starting out, but when you're doing a lot of work or you want to get a little bit more efficient at doing an AC install, this is going to be the tool for you to improve on your efficiency. Obviously, it's not something that you're going to start off with like that. So there is that. You're going to work your way up to it unless you just absolutely have to have this and you just want to make your life easy from the start and spend the money. Then I totally recommend it, but I easily recommend this kit for anybody. There's definitely some other ones out there. Yellow Jacket has one very similar to this. I'm not sure if it's the pump one like this or if it's the gun style, but I know Yellow Jacket has one. I know Hillmore has, I believe Hillmore is the hydraulic one, but there are some nice kits out there if you're definitely looking for a expanding set or a swedging set to add to your van. This is just the one that I decided to go to. My local supply house had it. And after going in there and walking past it for I don't even know how long at this point, I finally decided one day that I was just going to just go ahead and pick it up, make my life easier, and stop borrowing other people's tools, and finally just get my own tool. So that way I can be self-sufficient, don't have to go to somebody else to borrow the tool. So overall, definitely a nice kit from CPS, and you do, like I said, you do get this nice outer box, which is nice blow molded case, which is nice, and it does stack fairly easily on any size shelf. So with that being said, that's all I have for this video. Thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them down in the comment section below. Thank you.